Hello. Thanks for coming back for some. Just been quite a while, but I do love this project and I'm not going to give up on it. It just might be a little more infrequently than I'd like. Um, but I have some time today to get a game in and I'm going to give it a go. I've been on tilt lately. I've uh, been playing lots of different time controls, but mostly blitz, and my blitz rating has plummeted. Just lots and lots going on, and haven't focused on chess as much, but it's going to be all right. I'm going to try and play some longer time controls to get out of tilt. And as you could tell, my rapid rating is a little bit lower. So we get the black pieces against an English. And against the English, I sometimes play this neo Grunfeld, Anglo Grunfeld type setup. I've also been going into the Dutch lines, but I need to play a line so I don't abandon the game. And I feel more comfortable in the Grunfeld lines. So that's where I'm going to go. Duck Fangs from India. We have never played. You just joined last month. That's always curious. India has had a huge chess boom, so not completely suspicious, but it is a fairly new account. So no pressure to play d5 immediately because he's already committed to e3. And I think I'll just go ahead and feed and kill the bishop because there's no reason not to. I might as well take control of my dark square diagonal here. And now I think if I don't play d5, maybe there's some potential that he plays d5, but that opens up my diagonal. I don't know if that's really particularly scary. It does give him a lot of space. I think I am going to go ahead and play d5 to just open up my light square bishop. Keep the natural square for my knight. Nothing wrong with castling here, I don't think. It does allow him to push d5 and really expand in the center. Let's go with the Grunfeld setup. Okay. He's going to keep my pieces out this square. Maybe prepare this expansion. And I think maybe a c5 push here. But now my queen a5 ideas are not the greatest anymore because he's got the b4 push. I am going to go ahead and just castle, get my king out of the center. He wants to push b5, that's going to open up. Still have this pawn to contend with, but it's not a. So I really got to think here because a normal Grunfeld plan would just be c5. Where I'm not worried about losing the pawn. This takes, 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 takes. And I mean, this pawn's weak, and he doesn't yet have the ability to push b5 because the dark square bishop will be open. So I think I do want to push c5 now. I can take here first, and this does drop the pawn, so there's no point there, but he takes here, and I think I just worked out that sequence where I'm not terribly worried about losing the pawn here because I get activity, but he develops the queen to b3, so double attack on the knight, and I have the option of defending, uh, moving back, capturing. The bishop's tied to the b pawn, so I mean, I could just capture, 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 and white gets two central pawns, but black gets a 2-on-1 queenside, and that's a common strategy, long-term strategy for an end game in a Grunfeld is to have the 2-on-1 queenside, because if kings are castled kingside, um, my king gets to his pawns quicker in the center, and my 2-on-1 majority over here, his king can't get to as quickly. So that's an end game strategy to look at. And I don't see any reason not to just go ahead and take the knight. Oh, I will. Then take in the center. I'm assuming he's going to take with the b pawn. There's just no reason to take with the queen and line up on my bishop. That's just no reason for that at all. Okay, so if I threaten the knight to develop my bishop, I'm dropping a pawn here, and that's my endgame strategy. I do get to destroy his kingside pawns if he does that, but I'm down a pawn, and a pawn is a pawn. Got this attack on the queen to defend the pawn before my bishop gets developed, and then my knight's kind of a little obscurely placed, but where does the queen go? Just move the queen up, maybe. My knight doesn't have great prospects then. I just come back. That's not ideal. This queen check blocks with the bishop, and then maybe I can swing my queen over to the king side rather quickly. Um, That doesn't appear to do a whole lot. Maybe get the bishop out after the fact. Put pressure on this knight. I'm down to 9 minutes and 30 seconds. Opponent has just under 15. Hmm. And the other idea is to push e6, just fixing this d pawn, creating a lane out for my queen. Does trap in my light square bishop though. And I don't know how much I love that. This is a really great square for the bishop. f5. I would love to get that out. So maybe I go knight h5 attacking the queen. And then get my bishop developed. Bring my rook over to the c file. And then look at redeploying my knight after I push the b pawn maybe. I think that's a good plan. That gets my pieces very coordinated queenside. That looks pretty good. Now he can attack my bishop, but then I just get control of like the whole, both long diagonals. Queen's tied to this defense. Okay. Wow. Okay, he pushes his f pawn. And his knight's hanging, so are there any tactical opportunities here? My bishop's attacked. But if I just go e6 and attack the knight, he takes, I take the knight with check, he blocks, I pick up the pawn and attack the rook. He gets the bishop pair, but he's got 3 pawn islands. And my pawns look a heck of a lot healthier. My queen's nice and centrally placed. His king is kind of open. I'm threatening this pawn and the rook if he does that. If he doesn't do that, nothing says he has to. But if he, well, the knight's hung. He could defend the knight. I retreat the bishop and keep pressure on this. Like that idea. But if I simply retreat the bishop now, his knight's still hanging. Well, I have to develop to attack it. I've got to open up this attack on it. He's still got this push. If he doesn't push that, I'm threatening. No, I'm not. I'm not because the bishop's not here anymore. Oh, but if I move the queen, my knight's hung as well. Okay, important detail. If I push here and he takes, I take with check. He threatens the queen. I take the pawn and attack the rook. So the rook's hanging and my knight's hanging. If he defends the rook, I defend the knight. Okay. I like that. Have my knights, have my rooks, not my rook. Have my bishop, sir. You may take my bishop. And I think I win a pawn out of that deal. So maybe he just defends his knight. I bring the bishop back. And I very much I like black's position. Oh, he sacks that, so I can just save my piece. Okay. I'm just up a piece here. He thought I was going to take with the pawn, maybe. He forgot that I could take with the bishop, and my piece is not hanging anymore. So just a simple oversight. And now he develops his bishop and prepares to castle to get out of danger. Got this check I can give. It provokes a pawn push, and I've got to just move my queen again. Perhaps I just drop it back to attack here. He pushes, and he's got this nice pawn chain, but the light squares are incredibly weak then, and I just bring my bishop back up here. Does he doesn't have to push. He could. I check. He blocks. I bring the queen back and attack. He could potentially defend with the queen or the bishop. And my queen's looking, it's feeling a little bit cornered right in here. I have this square, but a discover on the queen. Queen has a place to go. So the light squares are going to be incredibly weak if I think I can provoke him to weaken some light squares here. But my knight's hanging. My knight's hanging. I can't forget my knight. I think I need to just defend this knight before I forget about it and really mess up. I think that's an important, yeah. Oh, he's gonna go just all out on he's down a piece and he's gonna lash out. Cornered animal. He's gonna launch an attack. So he's not castling. I don't blame him too much. My bishop is in danger of getting trapped. I've got this push where I can just stop him from advancing if he tries to push. I don't think that's any real threat. So let's not waste too much time. I gotta look at my clock. I'm under 4 minutes now. An opponent hasn't even hit 14. I'm not worried about him taking. If he wants to open up his queen side, his king side, that's no bother. Let's get my rook in the game. Let's get my rook in the game. If he takes, I just take back. He pushes. I can give him the pawn. Now he might have some play on my open file, so I need to get out of that and hunker away in the corner. No pins. I guess I could have checked first. But do I really want to open up that line of attack? Eek. Okay. So this would hang the rook. He needs to defend the rook before he continues marching, but then I've got a backwards move with the bishop. He's getting quite feisty. Um, he's really lashing out. Got this rook move here I'm looking at. Also would love to get my queen out here and a little more uh, mobile. Okay. Gets his king up. He tucks his king away. Um, to swing his rook over. Hmm. Just approaching 3 minutes. Um, I'm gonna have to play carefully here. Very carefully. I like this rook move because queen here, I think he just blocks my queen's access. Here I'm putting a lot of pressure on this second rank. Might have overlooked this threat though. I mean, if I bring my bishop back, my dark square bishop might be under some pretty severe pressure. But at least now I've got the option to sack the exchange here for this dark square bishop and maybe provide a little bit of relief. Um, I'm up a piece, but that piece is over here doing nothing. So I really need to be careful and not let his attack continue to build so strong. I suppose I've got this idea as well, but then I'm running into a check. I have a block. There was this move as well I could have considered, but I really don't like the idea of opening up the dark square for him. At this point, I don't know that I would give up my dark square bishop for a rook because that's my biggest dangers on this diagonal here. All right, he's reinforced his yikes. I might be running into this now, where I have no defense. I suppose I can slide the rook over. I bring this bishop back, he takes. So I defend the bishop, he marches the pawn, I drop back, he marches the pawn. And I'm going to lose some material, I think. 1 minute, 50 seconds. I have this. So how about queen here with the threat of coming here? Queen here, pawn push, queen check, rook blocks. Queen here, pawn here, rook takes, queen check, queen blocks. I'm under a minute. I have got to come up with a plan, and I think this might be my best idea. I think I found the right combo here. Now rook blocks. Rook takes the bishop with check, and I've got a skewer on the king to the rook, and I think I hold it all together. I think I found the right tactics here. And the whole trick was getting my queen involved and not taking immediately, because I gain the tempo with check here. And importantly, this is a discovered attack on the king. And this is mate. Good game, friend. That was nice. I felt a little shaky there. Let's do the game review. And not my most accurate play. My accuracy was 88. It's still pretty good. Overall, pretty pleased with it. Okay. Doesn't like this move by white. Calls this inaccurate, but it gave me some problems to have to think about. I mean, my standard Grunfeld play that I feel comfortable with might not have worked out so well with best play. But it does call it calls c5 the best move. That's exciting. Glad I went with my gut there. c5 is the best move. And takes. I wonder what he's saying. What's the computer saying if takes here first? Black has the edge with d takes c, offering up a queen trade. But then the dark square diagonals opened up for the bishop. Okay, let's head back to the review. This queen move was also inaccurate. And I agreed with that in game because it stops this b pawn push. I don't think the queen wants to be there yet. It's a pretty superficial threat because I'm just going to defend or trade, which I end up doing. Best move was to trade. So it was a good move, but this wasn't best. What's a better move here than taking? Maybe just bringing the queen out and threatening to take, but then the bishop comes out. And I'm running into some problems with the discovery on my queen. Maybe developing the knight is best. Retry. Oh, no. Let's retry this one. Maybe the knight. Yes, knight c6. Knight c6 is best. Um, I'm not worried about him taking because these double isolated pawns will be a weakness forever. And I'll pick one of them back. I'll pick probably both of them up if he takes. So not concerned about that and just developing a piece. If he pushes, I mean, that plays into my hand, opens up the dark square diagonal. So I develop the knight further into the center, threatening to exchange. I think I have a very good game there. But we exchanged, and I went with this end game strategy of having a 2-on-1 queen side. This was a good move, but not best. Let's examine that. I think my other candidates here were to simply push the E pawn, but that trapped in my dark square bishop. Abandoning the B pawn, hangs the B pawn. What's best here? I'm happy with the move I chose, but I would like to find the best move in this position because this is a position I play a lot. This is a very comfortable pawn structure for me. What did I miss here? Maybe it's just defending the B pawn, but passive defense. Maybe it is the check. It's inaccurate because of white's just going to block it. Show me what's the best, computer. Attack the queen. Attack the queen and give up the B pawn. So if queen takes now, maybe I do have the check. He doesn't have the block anymore. And he's forced to move the king. That is a pretty small price to pay for a pawn. My knight's hanging at the end of that, so I have to move the knight somewhere. And I have to be careful because I don't want to disconnect my rooks and lose a rook. Okay, I'm going to have to examine that a bit. That was a mistake. Black's up almost, well, a little over a pawn and a half here. And I was inaccurate. So my response here, I've allowed these positions before where he can take the bishop, and I have a broken structure, but it is playable. I can have a hold on the light squares. It opens up my queen. Uh, why is this? Okay, this is a mistake, and I reply with an inaccuracy. What's my best move here? Drop it back, give up the bishop, develop the rook. Maybe it's developing the rook. No, it's a blunder. One more time here. Um, the bishop, moving the bishop back, also inaccurate. Tell me what's the best move. All right, occupy this. That's a pretty strong square for the bishop. And the rook's coming over to protect pretty quickly. was a little impatient in this analysis. I probably could have found that move and should have found that move, but I still played it like a 2100. So another mistake. I did feel like goading this pawn forward was a strategic advantage for me, but this was inaccurate as well, although black still has a 1.7 edge. If he takes with the pawn, I think I end up with a very good position. And yeah, my advantage increases to 3.7 in this position, and white is just in very bad shape here. Uh, Back to review. I don't think black has anything to worry about in this position. And that was a big mistake because I just saved the piece. And from here on out, I'm playing a piece up, but he does mount a pretty strong attack with that pawn push. Think I might have slightly underestimated it, but I'm 4 points, a 4 pawn advantage here. That was an error. I dropped back down to under 2. I should not have moved my king. Probably should have just brought the rook. Oh, no, 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 no. I should have taken the pawn. I should have absolutely taken the pawn here. That was just a um, oversight on my part. I missed the hanging pawn. Should have taken it. And now it's a difficult task to untangle my position, but black still has a clear advantage. Rook lift was the best move. I'm glad I found that. And I think here tactically things are getting very... Okay, bishop was the best move. Bishop d3 was the best move here. That was a mistake. Queen check wasn't the best. Curious to see what the best move was here. Oh, just take. Just take. I tried to make things too tricky, I guess. But what does he do with the, because he, I don't know, I felt like this rook is hanging. I suppose if he goes back, there's a discovered check. So that's the only place he can go. That's the only move he has. And I win the bishop, and then I win the queen. Okay. So I overthought things a little bit with these tactics, but they work out in my favor. I still have a crushing edge, mate and 3 from this position, and I find it. So good game. That was a lot of fun to play. Very enjoyable. Feels good to win a well thought out strategic game after being on tilt for so long. But I hope you enjoyed that. Come back and watch some more chess with me.